The King's statement in response to the arrest is being viewed very favorably because this does show that even from within the palace walls and the monarchy itself, they're saying that no one's above the law and that they are working in full cooperation with the police in this investigation and not standing in the way of this process. We've already heard from President Trump, who reacted in the hours after the arrest, who remarked that it was very sad for the royal family. And we know that he has a great love for the royal family, given his state visits in the past. And he said himself that he's looking forward to welcoming the king here soon, is what he said. So I think those remarks speak for themselves. I think the king himself has said that the duty will continue, and we saw that in action yesterday. Even amid his brother's arrest, being held in a police station, being questioned, searches going on royal properties, the king was out. He was at front row Fashion Week, doing his duties and being met with cheers and questions, but mostly positive reaction. And he said in the statement that he and his family will continue doing the work. And so I don't think we're going to see him canceling anything. I think the engagements continuing is a sign of continuity in the royal family, which is what they're all about. And any cancellation is a sign of panic. Certainly the reputation of the royal family is at stake here with this. To have one of the senior members, whether he's working or not, he's still the Queen Elizabeth's son, the king's brother, still eighth in line to the throne. His daughters are in line to the throne. He lives on royal properties. To have him arrested and being investigated is definitely an issue when it comes to the reputation of the monarchy, and that's something that they're going to try to control as much as possible and try to reshift focus for the members of the family who are trying to do the work and trying to represent the people. People has heard from sources close to the Duke of Sussex that he's long been frustrated by any comparisons to his uncle, and he himself has said in his memoir Spare that he felt that it was unfair how he had so many things taken away from security to his homes, but yet Andrew, who's been accused of actual criminal misdoing, wrongdoings, has kept all of that.
To prosecute him with the charge of misconduct in public office. Now, it's quite a high threshold to actually meet that charge. And so it's going to be a very long and arduous task, I think, for the police, for the Crown Prosecution Service to build this case. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And we're certainly at the beginning of the investigation. there's probably a renewed hunger for the US authorities to get involved in this investigation. I think the US are probably seeing what's happening here with Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor with the arrest and thinking to themselves, okay, right, we feel he has some questions to answer for us. Maybe now is the time that we can act. I think King Charles probably thought that this was coming. His statement yesterday was very terse. I thought it was very cold, to the point in three distinct parts. The first bit referring to Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor purely by name, not as my brother. At the second point, I think, saying that the law should do what it needs to do and take its course. And then the last part, I'll be saying nothing more. I thought it was, it's very, very terse. And I think now is the time where he's thinking to himself, look, for the royal family or for the monarchy to survive this period, we need to try and distinguish ourselves from Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. So he's over there and he's done that. We're over here and we're continuing to do the good work of the royal family. So we're two separate entities, we're operating independently. I think that's the impression that he wants to give us. But behind closed doors, it doesn't matter what we say, Andrew is still the king's brother. He's living in the king's private property at the moment. He's being supported by the king. And the king has to continue doing that, because if he doesn't, that's how Andrew gets himself into trouble, where he goes looking for money, power, privilege elsewhere. That's when he gets into dodgy dealings or makes dodgy friendships, like his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. So the king certainly feels that he has a sense of responsibility to make sure his brother is catered for and cared for in a way that he doesn't feel the need to go and seek that elsewhere. He has to keep him in check. So he's kind of taken on this caretaker role when it comes to Andrew. We could see an act of parliament put forward that would suggest that Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor be removed from his place in the line of succession. He's eighth in line to the throne at the moment. Now, YouGov poll taken recently said that 82% of people polled thought that Andrew should be removed from the line of succession, which is a huge amount of people, actually. But I think it really depends on what happens with this case.
Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor is now, after all, a private citizen. The institution has taken every step that it can to distance itself from him and his actions. The hope is that by doing so, they can create some clear blue water between the working members of the family and what they exist to do on behalf of the UK and the other countries around the world where he is king, and this person and the actions that they are responsible for answering. I think that the institution obviously will not be delighted to see the images that have been broadcast around the world. However, the advantage that they have is they have a role to play in public life. And as they keep moving forward, as they keep doing their jobs, so the hope is that the eyes of the world will turn back towards the work that they are there to do and not the distractions. We don't know, speculation of what police could do. The king has a number of really excellent advisors around him, and he will be grateful for that support. The one person that I think plays a really vital central role is the Queen. The Queen is incredibly attuned to public sentiment. She has been going back many years. She's had her own issues that she has had to deal with, and she knows better than anybody else what it takes to maintain the respect of the British public and the public around the world. My sense is that the Queen and the Duchess of Edinburgh will be able to respond from a really informed point of view because they are so knowledgeable about this issue. They both have leadership roles in organisations that support victims of domestic violence.
ITN.
All right.